Hello everyone, and welcome to the Vortex where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. You may remember a couple of weeks back we did a series of reports from Rome on the upcoming 50th anniversary of the opening session of the Second Vatican Council. We certainly remember it because we got flooded with emails and phone calls about the reports. A few hundred comments came our way, almost all of them positive and agreeing that the time following Vatican II has been little else than a massive confusion and a massive falling away from the faith by tens of millions of people. Well, it seems as though there is some strong agreement and recognition of this fact among the ranks of the bishops as well. One shining example of this is Bishop Alexander Sample of Marquette, Michigan. Bishop Sample, God bless him, is 50 years old, same as me. That means he grew up, and I grew up, in the same circumstances of the church as did many, many other 50-year-olds. He notably said recently that he is a member of, quote, the first lost generation of poor catechesis, which raised up another generation that is equally uncatechized, end quote. The good bishop went on to say, quote, while I certainly don't blame the Council, Vatican II, much upheaval occurred in the church in its aftermath. There was an anti-authoritarian spirit. In this time of great confusion, catechesis suffered. We booted the Baltimore Catechism out the door, but there wasn't anything to replace it. I was taught the faith in Catholic schools using materials that were weak and insubstantial. I wasn't being taught my faith. The liturgy suffered from experimentation as well. When I speak about this publicly, invariably, people of my generation come up to me to agree with what I'm saying. This includes many bishops. My generation raised up the next generation. Since we weren't taught the faith, we raised children who weren't either, end quote. We've attached a link on this page to the complete interview with Bishop Sample, and we highly suggest you read it. It's short and very much well worth the read. Does all of that sound familiar? It should. It's what we've been saying in the Vortex for over 3 years now. Catholics do not know the faith. The problem, however, is this. It's a twofold problem, really. The first is the most obvious. Many people who don't know the faith are the ones teaching it to now the third generation, today's children. And God bless them, they're well-intentioned and think they're being helpful, but gosh darn it, they don't know what they don't know. It's a classic case of the blind leading the blind. People in my generation who grew up being taught Jesus is a daffodil and the church is a candy basket of lovely lollipops and campfire songs are now the people teaching the next generation this same syrupy stupidity. It's not totally their fault. Again, you don't know what you don't know. But the second part of the problem has a more sinister cast to it. There are a good number of people in the church who like this new church and prefer it to the old church, and the reason is quite horrible. They do not like the old church's clear and direct condemnation of various forms of sexual immorality. So they happily preach the new church as a way to feel religious and convince themselves they are good people, all the while living a life of sin in areas of cohabitation, adultery, divorce and remarriage, contraception, homosexuality. They have a vested interest in promoting the new church and doing everything they can to push away, cast off, downplay, marginalize, or whatever term you like, the old church. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be Catholic, but on their own terms. And in the end, it's for nothing else but to ease their own consciences. And if that isn't sad enough, they are willing to destroy the consciences of the next generation in the process. So they will promote the Dickens out of their twisted and distorted view of our blessed Lord. They feminize him. They prattle on unceasingly about love and being non-judgmental and holding hands and feeling comfortable and making sure everyone's included. They do not want to hear about hell, sin, damnation, justice, and all the rest. And don't think that this point of view is reserved just for members of the laity. There are plenty of clergy and religious who have a vested interest in not preaching the whole truth, and their interest is purely selfish. We've said it 1,000,000 times, and we'll say it 70 times, 7 million more times. Catholics must know their faith. And there is one reason and one reason alone for this, because eternity hangs in the balance. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.